Okay, let me pin that. Okay. Alrighty. So you'll have to let me know if there's any audio issues or any lag problems as we go through the night. Been trying some new stuff this evening, and I bumped into a couple of technical issues that I believe I might have worked out. Looks like I'm streaming at a very good throughput, good frame rate. Looks like the audio is okay. Guys, let me know if the voice is too loud or low, if the music is too loud or low. Otherwise, I'm going to do some fun stuff tonight. One of the things that I like to do is to kind of take a look at kind of either side of the singularity, right? Like looking at the 60,000 foot view and then looking at like the microscopic level. And so, if we look at the broader, bigger picture and kind of like the global perspective on kind of where we are right now. A lot of the energies and a lot of the things that we're experiencing really kind of transcend culture and transcend religion or belief, and are more archetypal human qualities that if we really just stepped back and looked at, we would realize that we have a lot more in common than we think. And I know it sounds cliche, but I believe it's true, and that's what matters to me. One of the things as well that I'd like to do as a group is a kind of an interactive group reading where several people participate with their own cards, and we create a layout that comes from multiple individuals. And I think that the effect of that energetically would really be something that I would like to do, and it just require a couple of pieces to sort of put together to make that happen. But it's something that I think if we were able to put together, it would really be it would be a very interesting exercise. Alrighty, looks so far we look like we're doing okay. Seems like I'm not having any trouble with the music. Okay, good. Well, that'll be a first. Okay. So here's the list for the night. Evening. How you doing? We have a couple decks that I'm going to be using this evening. Let me pop the list up. These are the decks that I have removed and made available for tonight. Sure. So what's going on tonight, Slack? Doing very well. I'm doing well. The specific deck that I'm going to use would really just depend upon the type of reading that you're looking for, like the subject. And so, what are your thoughts? Cool. Good choice. Okay. Are you familiar with the deck? Okay. Let's take a look. No, the free list is not closed. I've just started the stream up a little bit ago, and so as it's getting going here, we'll sort of be adding people. And once the room fills up a little bit, there's a couple things that I want to do that on a group level that I would love for you guys to participate in as well, and I'll talk about it once the group gets a little bit bigger. Okay. So in the meantime, we're looking at... Well, I get into a committed relationship. Okay. Okay. Alrighty, let's just zoom down into the desk here. So... Okay. My initial sensation is that this relationship seems to be... Here, let me pop this up here. It appears that there is a dynamic in this relationship that is more than just love or a connection or wanting to, like the normal interactions when a relationship begins to develop. What I'm seeing and what I'm feeling is that this is more transactional. And I use the word transactional just as like a... one of the two is going to have to sort of work to maintain it. It's like there's an unevenness, and one of the two will have to be the one to do the work to keep that balance. or that one is the giver and one is the taker, and that's going to be kind of a broad defining dynamic of the relationship. And so what I would say is that to answer the question specifically, it's not really a yes or no answer. It's more that it could be, and it would just be a matter of this being satisfied. Whatever the currency is, needs to be provided. And however, there's also this idea of a dominance. The question is on which side is dominant. Like, for instance, there's been circumstances in relationships where, whether it's a family dynamic or in individuals in the family, or there's some type of family deal, and one of the parties is considered to be dominant in that situation. And so, in this particular circumstance, I kind of see that there's one side that's dominant or feels dominant in the situation, and the other side is having to sort of do work in order to bring that into balance and there to be that level playing field. So the basically the answer is that it could happen by the end of the year with difficulty or with work. But if otherwise, it seems like it would take. There's other influences, and those other influences might affect that in a way that is not advantageous. Okay, does that make sense? Thank you, Nuzan, for liking the video. It's very important with the streams. The getting the stream looked at naturally, organically through the algorithm isn't always easy, and so anytime you want to like the video or leave a comment or anything else, it just lets it know that it's worth engaging with, and so there's a better chance that it'll actually wind up getting seen through the browse sort of function of YouTube. Okay, good. Now, and if you, and I would say this to anybody I do a reading, if you'd like to expand on that at any time, we can get something together, or we can do something like the spreads that I mentioned here. The 3-card question is mind, body, soul. And really that's designed to look at the 3 perspectives of the situation. How is it manifesting itself mentally, physically, and spiritually? And the past, present, future is another 3-card reading, which gets into what led to the situation. What was the foundation that was built that led to it from the past? What is the overall situation in the current? And when I say the overall situation in the current, what I mean is not from the perspective of the people involved, the actual reality, the objective. The subjective is the part that can alter that, and that's the part that we can look at that can change, but the objective is important. And then the future, which is not written and is absolutely can be changed. Then the full spreads are a little different. The Celtic cross, the 12 houses of the zodiac, the what if, which is a great reading. It's a little long, but it's a really good one, and it's very in depth. Also with a little bit of a twist of kind of giving you some options and what would occur if you took either path. It's sort of like, it's an interesting reading. And something that I'm trying to do, which is really new, is a live on-air personal reading. I'm not 100% sure if the technology is going to allow that to happen. I'm on a not a bad laptop, not a cheap laptop, but it's not the best. It's an i7, 8, or I think 8 gigs of RAM. Anyway, but that said, though, not 100% sure if I try to stream an incoming call, if it's going to lag the stream and not work. We'll have to see. Okay, so Newton, and if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I apologize. But Newton, you had asked characteristics of future husband and how. Okay. Ooh, okay. Sure. Let's take a look. I'm going to try a different deck for that particular question. And actually what I'm going to wind up using is an oracle, which is actually really good for these types of questions. Okay. This is the oracle of the radiant sun. Oh, great. I'm glad I pronounced it right. This is the oracle of the radiant sun. It's astrologically based, but more appropriately than that, it has this tone of that's good for this type of reading. So first of all, characteristics of future husband and how will be my relationship. Okay, so let's take a look. First at the characteristics of this individual. Let's take a look at who they are. Okay. No problem, and thank you for stopping in tonight. I appreciate it. Okay. So the first thing that we're looking at here is the sun. Now, the word in the middle, let me zoom in so you can get it some context here. The word in the middle of this card on the bottom there is just a keyword that is sort of a generic term for what the sun in Leo means, according to the person who wrote this deck. But more important than that is the overall energy of sun in Leo. The sun in Leo is very confident, very outgoing. Somebody who is probably speaks loud, has a loud voice. Somebody who is, oh, then you know, but confident. There's a confidence there. And not a cocky. That's a little different. A cocky is Aries. Confident is Leo. And the sun too. There was a couple of things that you had asked in the question here, like what is the relationship going to be like? And you know, we have here the sun in Aquarius, and what one of the things that you can see there. Thank you for subscribing, Stacy, and thank you for popping in. I see this really being kind of a generally consistent, but up and down emotionally, meaning that there will be highs, there will be lows, but it's really going to be emotional, and that's a good thing. And it's but generally a positive demeanor. He will have a positive demeanor. I also see how do I put it? Longevity. The marriage will last. It will not be quick. It will last. And that's really a beautiful sentiment. One thing I also want to mention is, and I'll show you the deck here. Each card on the corner has the planet, and then on the other corner is the sign. And there's various, if you'll notice, they're not in any kind of order, and it was shuffled. You've got 3 suns. You can have the sun in Aquarius, the sun in Leo, and the sun in Scorpio, and they all came out together as far as your question is concerned. And that's something that we can do even a further expansion on, sort of do a love horoscope astrologically. If you'd like, that's something that I do and would be able to put together. It would just be a matter of your birthday, their birthday. If theirs isn't known, then there's a different process for going about that. But that we can do that. So there you go. Okay, so I see good things. I see that this person is going to have a friendly, jovial, outgoing, confident nature. They're going to be emotionally consistent, but intense emotionally. And it is going to, I see it lasting. Okay? Thank you, Newton. Okay, so let's see, what do we got here? Give me just a moment. I have to check something out real quick. Oh, by the way, I have a question for the room. Are you able to hear the music that was playing in the background there? If you're able to hear the music, just tell me. And if you're not able to hear it, just say no. I'm trying out some new things tonight. I just want to make sure that I have the settings correct and that that it's clean. The stream is clean. Okay. You are? Okay, good. Would you say that it's loud? Is it loud compared to my voice, or is that a good level, the music? And these cards are chunky, kind of, they almost have like a plastic kind of feel, and they're very, very hard to shuffle, so pardon me as I struggle through that. Alrighty. I have to just do a quick little short list here. Where are we? Okay, so we have, I guess, Sahu and then Jihai, right? Did I miss anyone that was before Sahu? I have been reading cards for about 40 years. About 40 years. I've been reading seriously and in earnest for about 30-ish. $32. Okay. Yeah, it's good that the music is faint then. That's good. I just kind of want it to be in the back and not really distract. Okay. Okay, so then I guess next would be Sahu. Who will my future spouse and when I will meet? Okay, let's take a look. I'm going to try another deck now. This is called the Tarot of the Abyss by an artist named Anna Torian. She's really, really talented illustrator, painter, artist. and made a beautiful tarot deck. Well, that's okay, Stacy. As the room is kind of building up, I'm just sort of doing quick little readings. I mean, it's not; these aren't going to be like huge, but it's no problem. If you're not able to pay for a larger reading, then I'm just doing some quick. So no problem. I can get your name on the list. Okay, let's have a running list here. There you go. Okay. Okay, so let's start. Sahu? Okay. Okay, so who and when? Who and when? Eliza, say good to see you again. Okay. Let me jump down to the zoom here so you can see. There you go. This is the Two of Wands. Okay. So, the question is, when, right? The question was when, and the question was who. As far as the who is concerned, it's interesting here. There's a lot of, you've thought about this before. As far as the when is concerned, it's going to be maybe longer than you're thinking. Not soon. Like, it's not something that's it's not in your immediate future. He is a practical person. He is going to be an advisor, somebody that people go to for advice, or people ask because they have a mastery of a certain knowledge. That could be finance, that could be science, that could be any number of things. But as far as when, not anytime soon. That's something that we can get into a little more specifically another time, but I would say not anytime soon. And as far as the individual, they are going to have a sort of position of authority where people come to them for advice. People come to them for consultation because of that authority. And also an important point, he is older than you. Okay. I get that vibe as well. All right. Let me see. Maybe where's that little list here? Okay. No problem. Thank you. And I appreciate everyone that comes in tonight, and I'm happy to do some quick free readings as we go through the evening. All I would ask is if you would please just throw a like on the video. It really helps too to do a comment. A little comment makes a huge difference as far as engagement to the Google algorithm, and it really is a big deal to let them know that this content is worth showing to the rest of the world. Not to mention that as I begin to develop this channel, there's multiple limitations, as you may know, to some things you can do until you hit a certain subscriber number, and so it's important that you, in any way you guys can help me do that. I appreciate it. Okay, let me see. Okay. Great. Yep, you've been added. Okay, good. All right. Okay, next is Jihai. Jihai, if you're still in the room, you're up. General, sure. Yep. Okay, no problem. Let's see then. Shall you pick the deck or shall I? I have a short list. I have many more than this. I don't know, about 35 or 40 decks. I'm not a huge collector, but I have a decent collection. But I only picked about 6 decks for tonight. And so do you want to pick one of those, or would you rather I picked it for your general reading? Yes, I will pick. Sure. Okay. Let's see. What's a good one for tonight? We're doing a general reading. So I will use the Hanson-Roberts. Okay, the Hanson-Roberts is a Rider-Waite-Smith-based deck. However, the artwork is a little... it's more personal. It's forward. You'll see what I mean as we read these. So what I'm going to do then is a very basic mind, body, soul reading. This is just kind of general. This is, I have never met you, don't know who you are, don't know your situation. And so what I'm going to rather do is the mind, body, soul reading. It's under the 3-card question, MBS. That's what I'm referring to as mind, body, soul. And what we're going to do is just take a look at... there are many qualities that make up a human being. More of those qualities than you think are transcend our personality and our human experience. We perceive it through our human experience, and so we anthropomorphize, or we add labels, and we do things like that. So what the mind, body, soul reading tries to do is to take a look at who are you from 3 different perspectives. Who are you mentally? Who are you physically? Who are you spiritually? Okay, so starting with mind, body, and then soul. Okay, as far as the mind, let me zoom in on that for you. As far as mind is concerned, and what mind is, another way to put this is your mental self-image. And it seems like that you you feel, you think, in a very diverse way, and in an analytical way, but at the same time can master juggling the different modes or methods. Like, for instance, a person that can think, that can jump from math to art and not have a struggle with that kind of thing. Also, probably mentally, I would say somebody that has a compulsion toward order. You like the kind of person that would look at this and then do that and straighten it out. Okay, and be satisfied with having it straight as opposed to, you know, kind of crooked and body. Okay, so as far as on the body side, we have Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles, in this particular circumstance, I'm seeing as almost like you have a... How do I put this? It's not the most important thing in your life. You seem to be sort of occupied elsewhere. You seemed like you indulge in pleasure, but I don't think that it doesn't seem like health is the focus, or that your body isn't the thing you identify with. However, you do enjoy the things that you like. Like, for instance, there's some people who couldn't care less. They can drink any cup of coffee you put in front of them, and there's some people that have the flavor that they like. That's you. You know what you like, and you know what you want, and you have no problem with satisfying that. Like, there's no shame in you satisfying that. Soul and spirit. This is a beautiful card to get into that, in that space, because it's blissfully ignorant. Spiritually, I see that allows you to sort of be open, and that openness lets you experience an intuitiveness that you may kind of feel natural about, but is hard to control. If you've ever had the inkling that you have a connection to your spiritual side, but it's hard to control, that's because some people sort of have this natural connection, but don't... It's not mature yet, and so what I would say is pay attention to that voice, and begin to give it authority. Okay, because spiritually you have karmically very good energy, but it seems to be not directed, and so I would say that you have that opportunity if you choose to take it. Okay, I am going to update the list here. Give me just a moment. Okay, I'm going to close the list real quick. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, Stacy. Just put this away. Is that? Did I get that right? Or yes? Okay, great. Okay. A lost loved one. Okay. Yeah, that's a toughie. Let's think about that. Okay. And so, what is it that you'd like to know? Okay. Okay, Stacy, let's take a look. Thank you, Sarah. So I'm using the Tarot of the Abyss for this particular reading, and I think it'll be appropriate for what you're asking. Let me jump to the desk. Okay. Oh, thank you. Wow, that's... I guess that's a big deal since I do a lot of talking. I'm going to shuffle this twice more. And then give it a quick cut. Okay. Great. Okay. There we go. Okay, this is for Stacy. This is Fortune, or the Wheel of Fortune. Fortune. The cycle. The wheel. No matter where we are in our path, we can be sure of one thing, and that is that the circumstances are going to change. That's because we live in three-dimensional reality. We live in a world where things happen. There's change, and it's dynamic, and there's energy, and there's emotion, and there's all these things, and that requires time and space. And we live in three-dimensional reality, and that reality is linear through time. And one way to describe that, rather than a line, is a wheel that rotates, and it's an infinite wheel of time. And that's one of the things that this describes. But I also want to talk about your question about your surgery. and why I'm glad that you asked that question, because the answer is yes, she will be there with you. And she's with you right now, and I want to explain what I mean by that, because I don't want it to come off as a cliche kind of idea. And I want to, full disclosure, I just recently went through a pretty heavy time as well with some loss, and this idea that I'm about to talk about really helped me get through a lot of that. We exist in three-dimensional reality. At least we perceive our world in that way. We do not actually live there. We live in an infinite reality. We perceive the world through a vehicle that is limited by those senses, but you are infinite. Your body isn't, but you are. And now, this is the distinction, and kind of stay with me here. You are already at the end of time, waiting for your consciousness to catch up to that fact. Like, just because we live in a physical body now that's living in time doesn't change the fact that time is actually infinite, and we were already born, lived, and died in the same moment, and we're actually infinite. So the reality is you are with your daughter already at the end of time, waiting for you now to realize that fact. And so close your eyes and recognize in that moment that you are actually already with her. You're embracing each other now in that place in infinite time. And we just aren't able to experience that through our senses right now. But that sensation that you're feeling up with, that love for her, is real. And the source of that is the two of you together now in the infinite. So what I would say is, don't ever forget that. And be open to feeling that. This is a great card to actually come up and and I'll explain why in a moment. The Three of Wands. One of the important key phrases, I guess, for the Three of Wands is waiting. Waiting for the ship to return, or waiting for the person is usually depicted holding some wands, and then kind of waiting to enter the boat. This is her. The question was, is she happy? I would have to say that it's she's ecstatic because she knows the truth. She is beyond the suffering of humans. And I don't mean that in the cliche sort of Judeo-Christian sense of heaven. It's so much greater than that. And she's waiting for you to come. Okay, I hope that helped. Let me just cut this real quick and put it back in the box. There you go. And the visiting kind of changes with time too, as the necessity is there. It's kind of a hard thing sometimes to wrap your head around. our experiences and our desire as a personality, as an identity, as the one that lost the person. But the reality is that we just lost one perspective of that person. We lost one angle of that person. They're never gone. Distance is a lie. I mean, we're not even apart from them. But anyway, so thank you. Thank you so much. Let me jump back to that list. Okay, Eliza and then Sarah. Let me just... okay, right. Okay, Eliza, you still in the room? If you are, let me know. I don't know where everyone's located. I'm in the eastern time zone of the United States. I live in the mountains in upstate New York, in the United States. Where's everyone from, by the way? Oh, what a great question. I love that question. That's great. That's not one I get very often, and I love that. Let's take a look. If you don't mind, I'm going to have a cigarette. Does anybody mind? I hope the smell doesn't bother you. Okay, this is a goodie. All right, so... Florida, cool. I went to high school in Boca Raton. Actually, I went to several high schools in Boca Raton. I went to 3 high schools in my life. I started in Brooklyn, New York, and then went to high school in Spanish River, and then I graduated at Olympic Heights in '93. All right, so let's see. What deck should I use about that? That's a good one. I'm going to go back to the Radiant Light. I like that for this type of question. Ontario, huh? Jacksonville. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty much as far as you can get from Boca Raton without being in Pensacola. Okay. All right, well, that one's definitely coming out. Nice. Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay. The way I'm going to be interpreting this is these cards at first glance are probably not implying what you're thinking. And specifically, what I'm alluding to is these two things mean an abundance of harmony. Isn't really the best word. Another word for harmony in this particular circumstance is kind of like people pleasing, like kind of like being like trying to like how do I put it? I don't know if that's the right word. Kind of saying what you need to depending upon who's in the room. So it would it how they're talking about you depends upon who they're talking to. And in this particular circumstance, there does seem to be a little bit of the word criticism isn't bad. Another term for that might be being overly critical, like being judgmental. That's a good one. Being judgmental, but flip flopping to then saying, "Yeah, well, but there's these good qualities too." So there's sort of it's like kind of like back and forth. However, there seems to be, and only you could tell me if this is occurring. There seems to be some kind of specific issue, like a disagreement or like a some type of argument, and there were sides that needed to be taken, and this person is kind of like not 100% throwing you under the bus, but is not necessarily taking your side. They want to seem like they they want to seem like they're outside of the disagreement, and sort of they're kind of taking both sides. I think that's the best way to put it. They don't want to get involved in the argument. They don't want to seem like they agree with you 100%, but they don't disagree with you 100%. So they're kind of just trying to like play both sides. That's how I'm feeling. That's how they're talking about you. So yeah. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of the vibe. Is and you know that's sort of human nature in some cases when you have somebody, especially that sort of maybe has a deficient self esteem, will kind of try to play both sides. You know. Well, that may have something to do with why there's this idea of not wanting to completely dissociate, but at the same time not wanting. There's a confusion there. There's kind of like a, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. There's like a confusion where they keep kind of flip flopping because they don't want to just blame and cut you off. Like they don't want you to seem, they don't want to seem like there's something going on there, though. There's almost like like they're holding something. I don't know. This flip flopping this is weird. Let's take a look at why that is. Let's take a look at why. Yeah, I don't know. You know what? I'm getting the kind of vibe. The more I think about it, the energy of this person seems to be there's a level of like not like a liar dishonesty, but like ego driven dishonesty. So it's not like they're liars, but they're sort of like want to look good and are kind of working hard at that, and that is distracting from the whatever feelings might actually be there, which is also kind of understands why they would speak ill to some people about you, but then good to others, or like say something bad, but then kind of overcome it by, sort of softening the blow to make themselves kind of look good in the situation. I see a lot of ego there, a lot of driven by that kind of mentality. And that's yeah. As far as soulmate is concerned, um, if that's the case, and I'll be happy to kind of pull a card and give you a yes or no. But I would say that if that's the case, um, they need to do a little bit of growing up. I don't know if that's the right word, maybe, but they need to do a little bit of emotional maturing, um, to kind of stop, um, faking the self-esteem and just be who you are and not have to. But yeah. So let's just look at that from a soulmate perspective. Like, there's, I'm not a huge fan of the word soulmate. I think it has some connotation that is a little bit maybe not always accurate. But I understand what you mean, and so let's take a look at that. Venus in Capricorn. Convention is one way to look at that. Venus in Capricorn would basically mean like an emotional, how would you put that? Status quo. So I would say that no, this is not your soulmate. This is a person, however, that would be sort of, it would be you would have a good time. So would they. You would learn from each other, have the relationship, go through the ups and downs. Um, could you maintain it? Sure. Just because, again, that's the danger of this word soulmate. Many, many people are going to come in and out of your life. Many of those people will have a certain reason that that's occurred, whether it's because they need to gain something from you, or you need to gain something from them, or there's some type of exchange karmically. It's not our place necessarily to know what that is, because that can affect that path. But oftentimes when it comes to relationships, the body or other things that are more on the selfish end tend to become the crux, and people outlive their karmic necessity in our lives, and that's when struggle and bad things can happen. So let it be what it is. Don't make it more or less than that. And what you'll wind up doing is going with the karmic current as opposed to against it, and things flow easier. And if that person's meant to be in your life, they will maintain, and if not, then they kind of will flush out pretty quickly, and you begin to sort of harmonize with the appropriate energies, and will attract what you need. So it's really just a combination of your own spiritual maturation and theirs, and together. Is the product something that can sustain spiritually, or is it something that kind of is one-sided? And so I yes, I do feel that there's a love there, but I feel like that it's masked by him having, let me get the right words, him having a fear of, he's afraid, and I'm not sure why that is, whether it's a fear of being misunderstood, a fear of being tied down, which again is kind of a side effect of that ego. Is like, if I am loyal to this one person, then it makes it hard for me to kind of let go of the fact that I'll have this freedom, or let go of the fact that I have this certain personality type, whatever the case. I mean, we all have our fears. It could be family issues as part of the thing that he's afraid of. It's important that, part of what the sensation that I got there was the idea of needing to look good and kind of changing how they feel based on kind of who's. It's a complicated situation from that respect when you get into fear, because fear is so intimate, it's so personal, and it could have to do with the family. It could have to do with the battle that we have with our ego. There's so many different factors there, but yes, there is a love. I don't know if they're the one. There seems to be a little bit of maybe a difficulty in that person committing, I don't know. I don't mean to be so ideal, but I've always felt like if love is real, you kind of know it, and it sort of like smacks you in the face, and you can't stand thinking about not being with them, and if that's not reciprocated, then you got to go, okay, then what do we have here? Am I lusting over this person and they're not going to return the favor? And if that's the case, have a good time, enjoy your time together, but don't make it more than it is, because you're going to set yourself up for pain. And if that's not what you want, then you're in a position at that point to maybe do something before it becomes greater than that. And there's nothing wrong, by the way, with sort of saying to him, hey, listen, where are we? And if you have any fear, we're alone. We can talk. It's not like if whatever problems you're having family-wise or personally, let's let all that go for a minute and just talk as two people. And then we can talk about the rest of the world separate, you know what I mean? So, yeah, definitely. I think there was one more name on the list, and I believe that was Sarah. If you're still in the room, Sarah, say hello. You're welcome, Eliza. Okay, Sarah, great. Okay, so, Richard, married. Richard's not available right now, and you're wondering when he will be. Let's take a look at that. Let's see, who would be a good... Oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull out the Thoth for this one. Just to sort of cap off the night, let me drop a incense. Sometimes the mood just needs a Nag Champa, know what I mean? Okay. 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 just get one more out of here. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, well, there was a couple of questions there, right? Your first basic question was when, if I'm correct, let me just scroll back. Okay. Okay, well, all right. Will you get married? And when? Okay. So, whew. Yeah, I want to see a couple of influences here. Mhm. Yeah. Okay, one more. All right, yeah, wow, there's a lot of influences here that are sort of like holding this back. There's a lot of very negative feminine energy, and they. Part of that feminine energy is related to your side, whether it's your family or your some friends, like girlfriends, or maybe someone's in your ear. They're female, they're older than you, or superior in some way. That don't want that to happen. There's also this is absolutely the card of like legal of the court system, and I would say that there needs to be some type of I'm going to separate these for context. I'm getting a strong vibe of, I don't know if there was a female lawyer or a female judge, but there was a woman involved in the court case that, or was related to that circumstance. That is, I see it kind of being a slow process. As far as married is concerned, I do get the vibe that he is into you, that there is a love there, that there is a. Here's what I would say. Well, that's a problem. That's kind of part of the process of saying how like I see it being a slow process. And I don't know if it's a lawyer or if there's something being held up, but there's a woman involved in that. Might be the judge, could be the DA. That's something that we could maybe look into at another time on like a more complete type of reading. but I will say this: the two of you, these two cards. It's funny. Let me zoom in on that because it's really something special. In the Thoth deck, the knight is the king, so they're not, the king is not called the king; it's called the knight. Long story that I won't get into. I am going to be doing a video on different decks, and I will do a Thoth video talking about that. But basically, this is the king. These two are actually opposites. You have the Queen of Cup, which is the water, and the feminine, and the highest form of that feminine in the suit. Then you have the King of Wands, which is fire, which is also the complete opposite energy. Sagittarius is a fire sign, that is congruent. But anyway, that said, though, there is a beauty in that that complementary nature, sort of opposites attract. But that can also lead to volatility, and so I would just say be aware of that, and that can also lead to some very intense, beautiful things. In the end, though, that's a great card. This is like the universal dancer. She is. Let me just zoom in on that one card to kind of really. This is. The whole universe is watching her, not the other way around. This is who we are for real. This is who we are when we let go of all the crap and just be. We are no longer the observer, and we become the observed. Right now, we're walking through this universe looking, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, feeling, loving, hating. Reacting to everything. We take it all in, and that's all we can do is take it all in. This person on the other end is the creator of her own destiny, is the creator of her own universe, and has become the observed. She has become the creator as opposed to the creation. So what that means, the message there is that you dance to your own tune. You control your own destiny. I don't think I've met and I'm only 46 years old. I don't think I've ever met a mom that liked the guy her daughter likes or is considering marrying. And forget about his circumstances. That's whatever. But the guy could be a millionaire, coming from a great family with a Harvard education, and she would find something wrong with it. It's just sort of like the reality of. And if she's a hater in his particular case, then so be it. What you need to do is decide if it's right for you and how you feel, how you are you being taken care of? Are you being loved? Are you being fulfilled? Because then you could be in a position to give that in return. And if you'd like to, I plan on doing streams at least once a day, kind of randomly. There's links in the bottom if you want to contact me outside of that. And we can look into that court case, or we can look into some other specific things about, what can we do to expedite that process, if it's even possible. Okay. So there's a group thing that I wanted to do. Thank you, Sarah. I would say... Okay, let me jump to that. There's a group thing that I wanted to do. The world is in a very tenuous place right now, and I don't care what country you're from, what gender you are, what religion, whatever. We're all feeling the same energy, this tension, this disease and hate and division, and on the other side is this sort of like army of people who know the truth and know love and know they know that we need each other. And these two groups of people are kind of like karmically battling right now in the world, and it seems like we're losing, but we're not. And so what I wanted to do is to kind of pull a card, let that card become kind of a group symbol that we could all, whoever wants to participate, that we could all just focus on for a day. Just whenever we can, whenever there's a moment, just to pop that thought in our head, an image of that card in our head, and try to kind of create this resonance between all of us. There's one very important magical truth, and that is the idea that 1 + 1 = infinity. It's sort of like one person doing what they do can make an impact. They can. I mean, we you know, you can make somebody's day just by speaking their name. You know, they say the sweetest sound we can hear is our own name being spoken. You know, I mean, it's true. Just think about the small impact that we can have. Well, it's when two people do that, the effect is not two. The effect is so much greater. And when three people get together, and so on, so it's an exponential growth. It's a beautiful curve. So what we need to do is to get together and to create a thought form and to put that thought form out to where it is beginning to plant the seed of this love. So, well, that's good. Stay positive. And sort of spread that energy. Here's what I'm going to do. This is just a standard Rider-Waite Smith U.S. Games So I'm just going to take a look at the number of views on this video right here, on this stream. Because it's a random number. I have no idea how many people popped in or whatever the case may be. Not how many people are on now, how many people total. And count that number of cards down and we'll see what we wind up with. So let's take a look. 37. 10. Yeah, this is the sort of traditional. It was one of the first decks to go mainstream. Traditional decks is this system here. It's hermetic in nature. was invented. It's a Golden Dawn based deck. Okay, there it is. Before I turn it over, any guesses? Why not? Let's just have fun. Anyone in the room that has used tarot, just pulled a random card from the deck, shuffled the deck, looked at the number of views for the stream, counted that number of views down, pulled the card, there it is. What do you guys think it is? Just throw it out. I won't flip it till I see a couple. I know what card I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping it's the, let's see, 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups would be nice. What would it be another one? Karmically, I think there'd be some good cards in the majors. Oh, don't say that, Sarah. Let's not focus on that. Oh my gosh, what if it's the Tower? See, now you got me paranoid. There's only a couple of cards in the tarot that are intrinsically bad. Three of Swords. Five of Swords. Eight of Cups. I don't know. There's just a couple, you know, but the Tower is just like it's. Okay. All right, here we go. 1, 2. Okay, guys. King of Wands. Let's have some fun here. Let's look at the King of Wands from a couple of different perspectives. This is a symbol that we really want to have in our heads here, so let's just like really get it out there. We just actually saw this in the Thoth deck. Oh, look at that! Look what's on the bottom. It's the Tower. That's funny. Okay. That's another King of Wands. It's the one deck I don't think I've used tonight yet. This is the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. This is done by Lon Milo Duquette, who is the head of the OTO. He follows the same naming convention as the Thoth deck, so that the kings are called knights, because the king is usually comes from the knight. The knight becomes the king. The king is dead. Long live the king. I don't know if you guys have heard that. Okay. There we go. All right, so, you know, here we have a couple of different interpretations of this individual. The overarching element is fire. This shows the actual the decan, basically the degrees within the zodiac, and this card represents basically the end of Sagittarius into the beginning, or the end of Scorpio into the beginning of Sagittarius. Right, so it's, this is a quiet confidence. Active. That's definitely an energy of the wand. Hello, Violet. A good way to go through this exercise is, for instance, to allow the thought form to develop in your mind. So as an example, let's look at the energy of the king. The energy of the king is an authority, but it's not an authority like your boss at work, because your boss at work has a boss who has a boss who has a boss. Even the guy who owns the company still answers to the government. Like, everybody has a boss. But the king doesn't. And they don't have to prove it. So there's a quiet confidence typically about that. An authority that comes from just the knowledge. So there's not a cocky nature. Let's look at the element of fire. Hot. Warm. Dry. Alive. Yeah. Inspiring is a big one, but specifically too, within the context of the element of fire. So they inspire actively. The sword manipulates intellectually. The cup emotionally. In this particular case, it's a very active kind of inspiration. The pentacle, or the earth, is a leader who leads kind of through example, whereas this person is they're doing it. But so if we look at these different archetypes, basically what we're saying here is to be during the day, tomorrow or tonight, or try to develop these feelings in your mind, in your heart, in the different parts of your being. So start with picturing red in your mind. Imagine yourself in a place that's warm or hot. It's dry, not wet. It's in motion, not still. And kind of take on these qualities mentally, take them on emotionally, take them on spiritually. If you're having that lazy moment, kind of feel active. If you're having a moment where you're feeling sad, try to make somebody else feel happy. Take an active role in the your emotional state and in the state of others. That's the biggie. I promise to do whatever I can to help you. If you promise to do whatever you can to help me, and if we both give the same, or close, if we both give what we can, and we both believe that we're both giving what we can, we're going to be just fine. We're going to be just fine. It's okay. We can disagree. I love you all. we can have it, but we have to want it. We have to want it. I want it. I want my kids to have it. I want your kids. And it's up to us, bottom line. So, consider that. Be someone's warmth for a day. Be someone's light for a day. Be someone's inspiration. And do it for real. Be active. Be enthusiastic about it. All right, guys. Listen, it's been a great night. I expect to jump on again maybe within the next day, probably tomorrow night sometime. Just contact information here on the screen and in the description as well. As if you'd like to just shoot me an email, it's mcarrus@gmail, or you can private message me. And there's links down below as well if you wanted to get a little more in depth on some of the things that you're looking into with a full spread or something else. And at some point, we'll try this live on-air reading and see if it works by piping in a phone call. And if it doesn't disturb the stream, then that's something that I'll do on a regular basis with interviews and otherwise. So, alrighty. Have a good night, everybody. It's I appreciate everyone popping into the stream tonight, and I'll see you hopefully very soon.